Okay, so we're going to close off the night by talking about Texas. Now, I know that automatically just brings everybody extreme joy in the chat. I can't think of a single thing Texas has ever done that has disappointed me as a human being. So, let's go ahead and go into something else that never disappoints me. I almost said never ceases to disappoint. I don't know why that's what came up. It's 2 in the morning. I'm tired. First of all, we have a waffle Suris done by 666, the anime cat 666, and apparently the eyes are quite cursed. Next, we have a ball blaster Suris by JacandQuil. Taste my massive, moist balls. For anybody who wants to be cursed today. And finally, we have the sleeping Suris that was submitted by Mathematical Cabbage. As always, thank you all for your fan art submissions. And let's just go to the article. Let's just go right in. Governor Greg Abbott signs a bill to punish businesses that require proof of COVID-19 vaccination. So apparently a business can no longer require you as an individual to get a vaccine, which means the autonomy of a business to reject a person for any reason seems to have been thrown out the window at that point. But let's go to the article itself. So, Texas businesses that require customers to be vaccinated against COVID-19 will be denied any state contracts and could lose their licenses or operating permits under legislation that Governor Greg Abbott signed into law Monday. He says Texas is open 100%, and we want to make sure you have the freedom to go where you want without limits. Abbott said this before signing the law in a video he posted Monday on Twitter. Vaccine passports are now prohibited in the Lone Star State. So, I just have one question. If the goal of anyone wanting like a healthy populace is to make it so that everybody gets vaccinated, but there's no incentive to vaccinate, what happens? Especially with Texas, where like the cumulative IQ of everybody there is incredibly low, despite the fact that IQ is pseudoscience. So that statement doesn't mean anything. I don't see how this is a good move. I don't. Senate Bill 968 by Senator Lois Kolkhorst, R. Brenham, is a sweeping piece of legislation passed in the final days of the legislative sessions that includes a clause banning any business from requiring proof of the vaccine from their customers. So, just in a very real sense, let's say that I am a business that has a handful of people in it that are, let's just say, they're immunocompromised, right? And these people who are immunocompromised are not able to get the vaccine because the thing that causes them to be immunocompromised is their immune system going haywire and trying to kill them. This is a real thing that real people experience. People in my life have experienced this problem. And let's say that one of these safety measures, like requiring either masks or something that says that you've been vaccinated, are the things that allow them to work safely. And now you've said that a business cannot do any of these things. This person now has to gamble their life because you decided that your state was 100% open, even though just requiring a vaccine or a mask still allows your state to be 100% open. There's just some regulations. Now, I know that, like, the hyper-conservative way to respond to that is, we don't need to make laws for the weak. We should not let the weak dictate society. Or some, like, dumb Randian shit like that. But I'll just say this right now. If your ideology is one that does not include protecting those who are weak, then I would like to make you so incredibly weak in your life and I would like you to only be exposed to people who carry your ideology so that you must suffer. That's kind of where I sit. That's not being said in anger. That's not being said as like a super like hard-line position that I need to hold because I hate people. I would like people to employ the veil of ignorance when doing anything. I would like them to assume that when they take any stance of any kind, when they step through the other side of the veil of ignorance, they might find that the world is not shaped for them anymore. And so they might reconsider their stance. Any cull the weak type of stance I am not a fan of. Okay, let's continue with the stuff. Those that violate the ban may not contract with the state, and state agencies that oversee various sectors of business may decide to make compliance with the state law a condition of getting a license or a permit. Just under half of Texans have gotten at least one dose of the vaccine. About 36.5% of Texans are fully vaccinated. Health experts estimate 75 to 90% of Texans need to achieve immunity to COVID-19 in order for us to reach herd immunity. But as of June 8th, only 37% of Texas's 29 million people have been fully vaccinated. One of the obstacles is that vaccines are not approved for children under 12, despite the fact that they make up 17% of the population. Now, Abbott issued an executive order in April banning state agencies, political subdivisions, and organizations from receiving funds from creating vaccine passports, or otherwise requiring someone to provide proof of a vaccine in order to receive services. Businesses may still implement COVID screening and infection control protocols in accordance with the state and federal law to protect public health, according to the new law, which goes in effect immediately. So at least there's that. There's a not golden, but there's at least a small silver lining that a business can still do a temperature check on you and reject you if you fail the temperature check. Though mind, when it comes to COVID, even with a temperature check, you could still be carrying the disease. You could still be carrying the virus. You can be completely asymptomatic and still be a carrier and still give it to someone. So this is a helpful measure, but it's not as effective as, say, mask mandates are, or not as effective as even just having COVID vaccine passports would be in this case. I'm okay with a state saying that we're not going to require businesses to say that you have to have the vaccine to be, to do business. I'm okay with them doing that, letting the businesses make those decisions on their own. What I'm not okay with, what I start to have a huge issue with, is when you say, no, businesses necessarily must not do this. Because when you do that, you literally just strip away potential safety measures that could be used for, say, vulnerable staff. Abbott's signature on the new law comes as Carnival Cruise Line announced Monday that it would be restarting its cruising leaving from Galveston in July, but it would only allow vaccinated passengers on board, after the U.S. Center for Disease Control and Prevention said it would allow the cruise industry to restart on the condition that 95% of crew members and 95% of customers are vaccinated. The CDC shut down cruise lines in March of 2020. So while I think that cruises are largely a waste of money, though I have not gone on one because I don't have the money to waste, when you go on a cruise, if you dock in any kind of port, if you have people who are diseased on your boat, people who are infectious on your boat, then your boat is necessarily a carrier of disease. It would make sense for cruises to not be allowed to do anything unless the vast majority of people on that boat would not be able to spread. That seems perfectly reasonable. Carnival Vista sails out of Galveston on July 3rd, followed by Carnival Breeze on July 15th. It's unclear how the Texas law would affect those plans. I guess we'll have to see how that one goes. They said, we're evaluating the legislation recently signed into law in Texas regarding vaccine information. Carnival spokesperson Vance Gilkinson said in an email, according to Houston Chronicle. The law provides exemptions for when a business is implementing COVID protocols in accordance with federal law, which is consistent with our plans to comply with the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention guidelines. Okay. What else do we have in here? The Miami-based Carnival, Miami-based Norwegian Cruise Lines Holding, and other cruises are still in a standoff with Florida Governor Ron DeSantis over restarting their cruises with only vaccinated passengers, in spite of legislation in Florida that was signed in May that bans companies from requiring proof of vaccination from customers. Oh boy. Why am I not surprised that DeSantis, the guy who literally ran Rebecca Jones out of the state when she was pointing out that his agencies were not legitimately reporting their COVID numbers in a desperate attempt to restart their economy by lying about the infection rate in Florida? Why would I not be surprised that the guy that engaged in that shit would also sign stuff like that into law? What? Why am I not surprised? Why is this not a shocker? So we appreciate the progress of our U.S. to restart from the CDC and other key federal agencies. However, the current CDC requirements for cruising with a guest base that is unvaccinated will make it very difficult to deliver the experience our guests expect, especially given the large numbers of families with younger children who sail with us. As a result, our alternative is to operate our ships from the U.S. during the months of July with only vaccinated guests, which again is reasonable. You can either deal with a shit ton of COVID guidelines and severely hamper the experience of the people who pay the ludicrous amounts that they want, or you can have vaccinated guests where people can operate somewhat normally. So the Florida law fines the businesses $5,000 for each customer who is required to show their passport. Holy fucking shit. Anybody who was required in Florida to show that they have been vaccinated, the government in Florida gets to fine $5,000 for each one. Conservatives, aren't you guys supposed to be the small government people? I forgot. When the fuck did that go out the window? When did that happen? Why would you fine $5,000 for a business requiring that? Let's say that you're a mom and pop business, right? And let's say that you, as a mom and pop business, operate very paycheck to paycheck. You're an older couple, so likely you are immunocompromised in some way. You also might not have been able to get the vaccine yourself. Various reasons why you might not have been able to. Doesn't factor into this. But let's say you're this couple. We're going with the argumentative technique called the reductio ad absurdum. And this hypothetical couple see that somebody has entered in their store and they say, "Hey, are you vaccinated? Or could you wear a mask?" And they go, "I'm not going to wear a mask. And I am not vaccinated." This person, if they feel so jaded, could then go report that business, and that business, that mom and pop business that barely operates already, suddenly has to pay $5,000, which they likely won't be able to. And they go out of business, so now the mom and pop business is gone. Let's say this happens to a lot of them. The only businesses that could potentially engage in practices that can protect their customers and protect their employees are the big box businesses, your big retailers. They're the ones that have the cash to actually absorb stuff like this. Wouldn't it be really awkward if all economy in the entire bit of Florida ceased being locally owned and operated in any capacity, and the only things we had were giant, nameless, faceless corporations? Wouldn't that really suck? Wouldn't it really suck if that was a reality that could be painted by something like this? Again, this is a reductio ad absurdum, so it is by its very nature an absurd hypothetical. But as with all reductios, if your moral principle, or in this case, your law, cannot pass the hypothetical, it cannot pass the reductio ad absurdum, then likely it needs to be left on the other side of the veil of ignorance and thrown the fuck away. Norwegian said Monday that it would be restarting its cruises from Miami in August if with fully vaccinated passengers and crews. The company does not currently operate out of Galveston, but plans to start next year. Okay. That's all that is in there. And honestly, Texas, Florida, why the fuck you guys doing this? I understand that it's because you guys are currently, you know, like, held by red politicians, and they largely get to make all those rules. I understand that. I get that. And I know that there's not a whole lot that can be done about that currently. I'm not mad at the voters. I'm mad at the people who are making these laws. Not, like, either not understanding these very basic-ass philosophical principles, or simply understanding them and not caring, which I feel like is much worse. I can excuse ignorance. I cannot excuse maliciousness. But that's just me. That's just me. I feel like it's very awkward when the party of small government tends to do these really large overreaches. That said, Reaping Dragon, thank you for the hydrate, and no, it's not water. I hate to disappoint, but it is definitely Diet Dr. Pepper. Alright. With that said, hopefully you all enjoyed today's video. Hopefully this did not ruin your mood or your day in any significant way. At least I hope not. With all that said, though, if you want to support my channel and what I do, please consider checking the description for links with which you can do so. Hit the like button if you haven't already, follow over on Twitch if you haven't already, and subscribe over on YouTube. And with all that said, insert end of video tagline here.